Hi, booktube. It's Gina. Happy Tuesday. I am here today to do a tag. I was tagged in an original tag by Bandy's Books. Caitlin, thank you so much, Caitlin, for tagging me. And I love original tags. This is the Yes Chef book tag, and it's right up my alley. I love books. I love cooking. I love books about cooking. I love books written by cooks and chefs. So this is fantastic. If you have not checked out Caitlin's channel, definitely take a look. It's a lot of fun. She does a lot of great videos on cooking, and she vlogs what she's cooking, and it's really, really fun. I'll leave it linked below. But before I get started, I just wanted to say hi. I know it's been a while. I've got another little touch of a cold or something going on, and I've just been kind of not feeling great. So I'm a little off my schedule. I'm working, it's fine, but I'm just a little discombobulated. So that is what has been going on recently. How have you been? I do not have COVID. I did take a COVID test. It's not that. So I think I have a seasonal cold. I did get a flu shot yesterday and a booster, not yesterday, Sunday. So I should have done that a while ago. I kept trying to schedule it, and I kept putting it off and forgetting about it. So anyway, I've missed you guys, and I thought a tag for Tag Tuesday would be a fun way to get back into making videos. So let's get started on the Yes Chef book tag. Prompt number 1 is, have you ever read a book about or written by a chef? And if so, which ones? And did you enjoy it? And yeah, I mean, I've read what everyone else has mentioned also, the Julia Child book, My Life in France. That is one of the best memoirs I've ever read. I loved it. I've also got, here, I've got a few. I've got a stack. I've got MFK Fisher. She wrote tons of essays. This is The Gastronomical Me, and I love her. Although this edition is not the most beautiful paperback, but it's okay. But for a beautiful book, look at this one. This is Elizabeth David, Mediterranean and French Country Food. And I love this cover. Isn't that glorious? And this is similar to MFK Fisher, a book of essays, the sea and freshwater fish. She's got sections on, jams, chutneys, and preserves. So it's sort of cookbook-ish with essays mixed in. But here's one of my favorite sections. This is wine in the kitchen. And she's English. Nobody has ever been able to find out why the English regard a glass of wine added to soup or stew as a reckless foreign extravagance, and at the same time spend pounds on bottled sauces, gravy powders, soup cubes, ketchups, and artificial flavorings. If every kitchen contained a bottle each of red wine, white wine, and inexpensive port for cooking, hundreds of store cupboards could be swept clean forever of the cluttering debris of commercial sauce bottles and all synthetic aids to flavoring. I love that. It's a lot of fun. And then similarly, I love this book. This is super old, How to Eat Better for Less Money by James Beard. But it's also, these are sort of cookbooks. I'm sort of cheating a little bit because this is also cookbook. But he's got a section in here on wine and how to find a good budget wine. Obviously, the ones he mentions are no longer available or no longer cheap, but how to eat better for less money. And I love this book. But one I have not read yet, but that I do plan to get to, is Taste by Stanley Tucci. I guess he's not really a chef, so I'm kind of failing at this first one. But he has a cooking show, so he sort of counts, right? My Life, through food, and I love Stanley Tucci. He, of course, played Julia Roberts, Julia Child's husband in the movie version of Julie and Julia, which I also enjoyed, mostly the Julia parts. So anyway, that was sort of a big fail for prompt number 1, but I'm glad I showed you these books. I love them all, and I can't wait to get to Stanley Tucci. Okay, prompt number 2 is, do you notice food descriptions in books, and why or why not? Yes, I do. I love food descriptions in books. I love setting. I love descriptions of homes. I love descriptions of nature. I love descriptions of food. That is so cozy to me. So one of my favorite things in books is setting. Nobody ever mentions when they're talking about your favorite things to read. Are you character driven? Are you plot driven? I totally am setting driven. I love books. Miss Reed, Rosamund Pilcher. I love books with cozy settings. It's just one of my favorite things. Prompt number 3 is, what have you read that had the best food description? And there's so many, but this one I actually picked something a little bit different, because this is a very not cozy book, Iris Murdoch, The Sea. But the character in this book, Charles Arrowby, he loves to talk about food. And in the very beginning of the book, this is page 7 in this beautiful Penguin edition, he says, "It is after lunch and I shall now describe the house." And then he goes on for like 3 pages to talk about food, which I just love. People accuse him of doing fancy picnics, and that's sort of how he eats. So here's what he had for lunch. "I ate and greatly enjoyed the following: anchovy paste on hot buttered toast, then baked beans and kidney beans with chopped celery, tomatoes, lemon juice, and olive oil. Really good olive oil is essential, the kind with a taste. I have brought a supply from London. Green peppers would have been a happy addition, only the village shop, about 2 miles pleasant walk, could not provide them. No one delivers too far off Shrough End, so I fetch everything, including milk, from the village." And he just goes on. I wonder if I shall ever write my Charles Arrowby 4-minute cookbook. The 4 minutes, of course, refer to the active time of preparation and do not include unsupervised cooking time. I have looked at several so-called short order cookery books, but these works tend to deceive. Their 15 minutes really in practice means 30. And he goes on for pages and pages and pages, which I absolutely love. So that's one of my favorite food descriptions. Less cozy than, Nellie Piggott in her bakery in Thresh Green, or Alexa in September cooking a meal for her boyfriend Noel. I just those are super cozy, but I do love that Iris Murdoch clip. Prompt number 4 is, have you ever been inspired by a book, not a cookbook, to prepare a specific food or meal? I don't think so, but you know what I do? Actually, I was going to say no to that one because I don't have, I can't think of anything, but in A Fine Romance, Susan Branch and her husband go to England and travel the countryside, and she had a list of some of the things that she bought there, and I bought a bunch of the things that she bought, like lavender Earl Grey tea and all kinds of fun things. So I didn't really cook anything, but I did buy some things that she recommended that I could still get my hands on, which was fantastic. Prompt number 5 is, do you have a favorite cookbook? And I have a million favorite cookbooks, but I'm going to show you 3 of my favorites. The first one is Simple Food for the Good Life by Helen Nearing. Helen Nearing and her husband Scott lived in a homestead, was it in Maine? Someplace in New England. Totally lived off the grid. They farmed, they grew their own food. This is such a fun book. They've also got more of a autobiography that talks about their life that I also love. But this is a cookbook, and the subtitle is, or no, the blurb by Food and Wine is the funniest, crankiest, most ambivalent cookbook you'll ever read, because Helen does not think of herself as a cook, and her recipes are horse chow. 4 cups of rolled oats, 1 cup raisins, dash of lemon, dash of sea salt, and oil to moisten. And you smush it all together and eat it. That, to this day, is what Greg eats for breakfast every day. Raw oatmeal, smushed up with some things, topped with, and we got the idea from this book, topped with maybe like some yogurt, some nuts, some soy milk. So I love this. I love this book. It's just, it's a mishmash of things that she makes. All vegetarian, mostly vegan. She does do some cheese, but really fun book. And then 2 more traditional cookbooks I do have to show you. This is Real Life Entertaining by Donata Megapinto, and I love this book. It's got great pictures, but I opened it up, and it opens up to one of my all-time favorite recipes, which is macaroni and gorgonzola. Baked macaroni and gorgonzola. So it's a gorgonzola mac and cheese. I make this every single year in the fall. I have not made it yet this year. But this is one of my favorite things to make when I'm entertaining. You can see I've made it a bazillion times. I don't even need the recipe anymore. But I've gotten a lot of ideas out of this cookbook, and it's got gorgeous pictures and lots of really good ideas. Look at this one for Saturday. Donuts and coffee. What is better than Saturday breakfast with friends? Love this. So this is a really, really fun cookbook. And look at the cover. She's on her bike with a basket full of bread and flowers. It's gorgeous. And then, of course, I have to mention my favorite, Nigella How to Eat. This cookbook was one of the first ones, it's sort of a general cookbook that I learned so much from. How to roast chicken. There's some recipes in here again that I still make. Gooey chocolate puddings. This is one of my favorites. I often make this with that mac and cheese. Talk about a rich meal. The nice crisp, like bitter arugula salad. It's delicious. And then gooey chocolate puddings for dessert. Yum. But you can see, I mean, this is it's kind of messy. It's kind of trashed. It's really dog-eared, and I love Nigella. I have a bunch of her books, but this is definitely one of the ones I use most often. I rarely cook from a cookbook anymore. I get inspiration. I love to read cookbooks. I love to flip through them. But a lot of times I have more fun reading them than I do actually cooking from them. So I don't know. I do love to cook and get inspired from my cookbooks. Okay, prompt number 6 is, if you could share a meal with one author, dead or alive, who would it be? It would have to be either Miss Reed or Rosamund Pilcher, my 2 favorite authors. Yeah, I love them. I love them both. I wish they were still here writing more, but sadly they are not. But I have not read everything by them, so I still have some joys to look forward to. Prompt number 7 is, if you had 24 hours to live and you could eat one meal and read one book, what would you eat and what would you read? Okay, I know what I would eat. There is it's at a mall, and it's a Vietnamese restaurant, and they've got this crispy tofu lemongrass salad. It is like rice noodles and crispy tofu and veggies, and then like a sauce on top. It is so good. I need to go get that for lunch one of these days soon. It's been a while since I've eaten it. I can't make it at home. I don't think I have the right... you have to have very specific ingredients for Vietnamese food. I don't have it, and I don't really have the desire to buy a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to use fully. So those are one of those meals that I like to just go out to eat. mostly because I'm lazy and I don't want to buy a ton of Vietnamese ingredients that I may or may not use. Although I would like to branch out to that into that culture because I do love that food. I love that food a lot. And the book I would read, I don't really give this enough thought. It's probably gonna have to be, it's probably gonna have to be September or winter solstice if it's winter time. But maybe can I count two, September and The Shell Seekers, two of my favorite books of all time. And then lastly, prompt number 8 is to tag some friends. And I forgot to make a list. Did not plan well. Who do I want to tag? All right. I'm gonna tag. I had to look up a person whose channel I just found, and that is a Lori at Lori's Book Nook. So I'm gonna tag Lori. I'm gonna tag books at the bottom of the stairs. I'm going to tag The Paper Traveler. I'm going to tag Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. I'm gonna tag Novel Idea and Marilyn Maya Mendoza and Anne with a Book. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's actually 8. Prompt number 8. I didn't plan it that way. She didn't ask for 8, but I've got 8. All of the channels that I mentioned, of course, I'll add them below. They're all wonderful. I'm subscribed to everybody that I mentioned, and I love all of their channels. So you should definitely go check them out and do this tag if you would like. It's a lot of fun. And if you don't have a channel, I'd love to hear your answers in the comments down below. Thanks, everyone. Bye.